It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. And now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, it's the weekend. What's happening, everybody? It is time for the Geno Jones Show. I guess you kind of figured that out, right? You can see the sign beside me. It is the weekend, baby. I feel good on Friday. So it's a feel-good Friday. I'm going to make you feel good on Friday. I want to make you feel good every day, especially make you feel good on Friday, the Geno Jones Show. So listen, check this out. So I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, or maybe you're in St. Louis or Memphis or Houston or Dallas, New Orleans, 3:30 p.m. out on the West Coast. Shout out to Mr. Andre Russell, the crew at KJLH Radio 102.3, Radio Free 102.3. I used to work there. Shout out to Andre Russell and my man Ken Wilson, promotion man extraordinaire, doing this thing. Ken Wilson, a friend of the show, and I appreciate Ken Wilson's support to the show and helping me with securing all the great guests that you see me on the show. And if you're chilling in Hawaii, lucky you, it's 1:30 out in Hawaii, man. I need to make that Maui run, right? Please subscribe to the Geno Jones Show on the Geno Jones channel. Thank you. Shout out to all my new subscribers. Shout out to folks who's been down with me from day one. I got love for each and every one of you. Like Heavy D would say, got nothing but love for you, baby. I got nothing but love for you. I know it's really more Boosie than Heavy D, but you get the point. You understand what I'm saying. So let's jump off the weekend. I know the calendar says Friday, but I like to say Friday. Yay, it is Friday. Happy birthday, July 22nd. My man Keith Sweat, R&B superstar, R&B icon, legend, radio host of the Sweat Hotel. As a matter of fact, you can hear Keith Sweat on my radio station, Star 99.7 here in Charleston, South Carolina. #1 station, because my show's been #1 for about 17 years. Shout out to Keith Sweat. His show is #1 at night. Keith Sweat, speaking of one, 61 today. Brother, you looking good for 61. Keep it up, all right? Also celebrating a birthday today, Mr. Danny Glover. Mr. from The Color Purple. Or if you're a big fan of Lethal Weapon, Lethal 1, 2, 3, 4, Lethal Weapon, no damn more. We don't need no more sequels. We got enough. We got enough Lethal Weapon. That was 4 of them. 4 is enough. Some people might say 4 was too much. But Danny Glover, good dude, civil rights activist. Danny Glover is 76 today. And the man, the king of P-Funk, of the funk, that if you didn't have the P-Funk, you wouldn't have got the G-Funk, from the greatest musical era in the history of music, as far as I'm concerned. Don't even debate it. 70s. The 70s was the only period to where 20 years later, a whole new generation discovered this music and these beats from the 70s. You wouldn't have G-Funk, you wouldn't have the Chronic album of Dr. Dre, none of that G-Funk if it wasn't for the P-Funk and the king of the P-Funk himself, Mr. George Edward Clinton, repping North Carolina. I believe a town called Kannapolis, North Carolina. That's where he was born. George Clinton is 81 today, and I want to congratulate, since I'm here in the Carolinas, big shout out to Miss Emily Meggett. She received like the highest volunteer award you can receive here in America. She was bestowed with the President's Volunteer Service Award, highest award that you can receive for being a volunteer from President Biden. And also, Mayor John Tecklenburg of the city of Charleston, South Carolina, has declared today Emily Meggett Day. Once again, shout out to Miss Emily Meggett. She is the matriarch of Edisto Island. All right, listen. I want to tell you about a movie that I'm excited to see. I saw the trailer. Never would have made it. So you remember the song, this like gospel inspirational icon. This song was such a huge hit. I mean, it crossed over gospel radio, inspirational radio, and then R&B. We played it on my station, on my show. It was a #1 song. Never would have made it without you. Never Would Have Made It by Marvin Sapp. Well, Never Would Have Made It is now going to be a movie. As a matter of fact, Never Would Have Made It, the Marvin Sapp story, is going to come on TV One, August 21st. It will show his journey growing up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He was a troubled teen, struggling with alcohol abuse. Then he went on to be a member of this legendary, iconic gospel group called Commission. Fred Hammond was in the group. My guest can tell you all about that. To the tragic death of his beautiful young wife. They both were young. I believe she died of colon cancer, but she died of cancer at an early age. And it was very traumatic for him. As a matter of fact, I've seen him talk about how tough that was for him, just personally and emotionally. And it took the wind out of his sails. It took a lot out of him, and he had to really lean on his faith, which was the inspiration for the song. Never Would Have Made It through that ordeal, losing his wife without you, God. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's get to the meat of the monologue today. So back in the day, I don't know what I did, but my grandmother, Jean Jones, who I'm named after, she said, "Jeannie, who died and left you in charge?" I don't know, I was saying or doing something. I don't know if I was, because that's not me normally. I don't like to boss people around. I'm not. We all played the dozens with we were kids, but I never initiated it. Like trash talk when I played sports. I never started it, but I'd end it. Because obviously I could talk then because I talk for a living now. But I said something, I don't know if it was to my sister. She said, "Jeannie," she said, "Boy, who died and left you in charge?" So why do I share that story with you? Fast forward. So I see a video earlier in the week, last weekend, I believe, from gospel singer Kim Burrell. And she recently used her guest appearance at this church. She was like a guest speaker, a visitor. They invited her to come and speak and sing. And she used that appearance to tell the members of this church to avoid broke, now these are her words, avoid broke and ugly people that live in a trailer home, that put their utility bills in their relatives' names, that put their utility bills in their cousins' names. Or, I don't know if she said their kids' names, but she said they put utility bills in their relatives' names. Now, Kim Burrell, since then, she said it. She also said at this same appearance at this guest church that she talked about ugly people. She said, I haven't chosen any of you to be ugly yet. Okay, wait. So you get to choose who's ugly? We doing this? Now I know, listen, you might say, well, maybe Kim, maybe she's trying to do material. Maybe she's gonna do a comedy special on Netflix like Monique. Shout out to Monique, finally got that comedy special. Netflix finally secured that bag. I'm not mad at you, Monique. So maybe Kim Burrell was channeling her inner Monique, and maybe she's working on some material for like this comedy special on Netflix or HBO. I don't know. But first of all right, it wasn't funny. Second of all, you weren't there as a comedian. You were there as a speaker in church. So I would say to you, with all due respect, my sister, who died and left you in charge? And this is not about Kim Burrell, because I'm not going to beat up on the sister, but listen, we all are accountable, myself included, for what we say and what we do. So I'm going to share a quick story because I saw something on Twitter that really summed up how a lot of people feel, including myself. So somebody had a caption on Twitter underneath a video of Kim Burrell really just parading just people she didn't know. Like, if you broke, you broke and ugly, that you're like less than. Because really, if you see the video, you will see and feel the energy. I mean, it was just, she was on a roll. But so the caption, the tweet underneath the video said, this is why people, I'm paraphrasing, this is why people don't go to church anymore or stop going to church. I'm going to share a quick story. I shared it on the show before, and I'm going to bring on my guest because he will be able to speak to this whole, this situation that many churches find themselves in, just in general, not just the black church, churches in general, of all denominations. I was old, I wasn't 13, I was maybe 11 or 12 years old. It was a little storefront church, really on the corner that we lived on. My mother, you know, I would go with my mom, me and my sisters. And I remember people, you know, the elders and people in the church always giving my mother hell. Just talking about what's wrong with you, why come you don't make that boy get baptized and he's gonna go to hell. And it was like telling my mother, just really just judgmental about my mother because I, in my own mind, didn't feel that I was ready to get baptized. Because in my young mind at 11 or 12, I felt that I had to be like this perfect person. And I didn't feel that I was ready. I was like, I just don't feel like I'm ready because I felt I had to, I wasn't doing anything, but I felt I had to just become this different person because I was young and I didn't understand that. And I'll never forget. So one summer, the church goes on a trip to Indiana, some other small church in Indiana. I guess they were having some special event or whatever. And I'll never forget this. Like the Saturday before, I guess, whatever went down on Sunday. I was probably the youngest kid, but you had other teenagers who were members of our church and their parents. They were in their probably late teens, early 20s. And I noticed, so I see these, and then all these other kids at the church that I went to, they were all baptized. So I'm the sinner, I'm going to hell, because here this little heathen, he won't even get baptized. So all these other kids and their parents that were baptized, I noticed I started smelling weed. I'm smelling marijuana. Now I'm 11 or 12, but I know what marijuana smells like. I've grown up on the south side of Chicago. Then I just happened to be walking around, and all of a sudden I noticed some kids one kid that went to our church, I'm like, what is he doing? He's having sex. They found some little area on the side or the back, some little area they thought was private. I just happened to walk up on that area, and I see somebody from our church, a teenager, having sex with a girl from the church that we visited. So I remember talking to my grandmother and my mother, whom I know my mother's watching me right now. And I said, here I am. I'm the only kid that wasn't smoking any marijuana, that wasn't drinking any alcohol, that wasn't having any sex from the church that I went to. But somehow I'm the one that's going to hell, and all these kids, teenagers, and the adults that's been baptized and holier than thou. So I guess I'm like, oh, so if you get baptized, then you can go ahead and smoke marijuana and drink and have sex, and I guess it's cool. So I ain't doing any of that, but I'm going to hell. And I remember telling my grandmother, telling my mother that, and maybe about a year or so after that, I just stopped going to church. And it got to a point where my mother and my grandmother said, don't make him go. And I explained to my mother that one experience of seeing, and I was 11 or 12, and I had the vocabulary, and I said the hypocrisy. I said they're hypocrites. How can they condemn me? This is a kid, I'm at most 12 years old. But I knew what hypocrisy and a hypocrite meant. So I want to bring on my guest. So we're going to talk about that in general, that hypocrisy, which still plagues, you could say, churches in general. So this man is the CEO of Uncle Roy Lee Productions. He's also radio personality, been on air at our sister gospel station. He's a musician. He is a brilliant musician. This brother wears many hats, and there he is on camera. Speaking of wearing a hat, ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of Uncle Roy Lee Productions, Mr. Leroy Harper. What's happening, brother?
Brother Geno Jones, thank you so much. I appreciate you for allowing me to hang out with you today on this beautiful Friday. As you can see, I'm outside just enjoying the weather and enjoying the show.
I love it, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you being patient and letting me get through my monologue, but I just wanted to, I wanted to share that story about myself and kind of put it in context because the tweet that it was a woman who basically posted a tweet underneath the video of Kim Burrell when she kind of just went out on the people at church. And I thought and it triggered something in me because you and I talked about it off camera. And the tweet basically said, and I'm paraphrasing, this is why people don't go to church anymore, or this is why people stop going to church. And I was like, wow. It reminded me of the conversation. And then ironically, 30 years later, my baby girl was a senior in high school. And she had a similar conversation.
Right. Yeah. You told me about that conversation that she had that time.
She didn't have a similar experience. Hers was there was, I guess, some of the Christians that she went to high school with, but she just talked about how they were bragging about they're good Christians. But she said, but wait a minute, they're talking about they're good Christians, but they just keep a lot of, ish going. And she said basically that their behavior does not match being a good Christian. And she's like, well, why do you have to be, if you're a good Christian, why do you have to brag about it? And I told her, I said, Allie, I said, if you're around somebody that talks about how they are such a good Christian, run. Because if you are a good person, a good Christian, or whatever faith you practice, you don't have to tell anybody. You don't need a neon sign on your back pointing saying, hey, look at me, I'm a good Christian.
Right.
The way you live your life, the light that people will see your light and you won't have to say a word. All you'll have to do is just do what comes naturally.
Right.
Don't tell me that you're a good Christian. I'll see it by how you live your life and how you treat other people, especially people who may be less privileged than you, may have less money than you, may not have the power, the prestige, or whatever advantages you may have in life. So,
well, we can't. I want to say this, Geno. We can't knock Kim Burrell because you started off talking about Kim Burrell, and I just want to make this statement: you can't knock Kim Burrell for the rhetoric that she portrayed on that particular platform because she was invited in that platform. One of the conference hosts that was a part of that platform was Brian Carnes. That's known for what we say church controversy. So it's all different thought processes that people have throughout church and what when you think of church, you think of a system. Unlike the system that we're built in, I mean, it's still a system, and they're used to being chastised in a certain way. So when she was talking, she was chastising in a certain way, and she was trying to be funny in some ways. But I think if you're not in that setting and you don't know the pre-conversation, it can be offensive to people. And she was offensive. And Kim Burrell, she's been offensive to people before because what we have to realize is that we are all men and women first. And then what we do is we go into the process of learning who God is and learning, whether you want to talk about the European God or whether you want to get deeper into who the true living God is from a true African aspect of we all know that in life there is a higher being. So we get into the God aspect, but we see now with social media and with technology, people don't necessarily have to have preachers and lay persons think for them anymore. So you have your own thought process and how you feel. So the way you would have chastised in the old churches and the way that you would chastise the church of today. So I believe that we have to get to that point where we understand. We talked about age groups, and we were talking about the age of our kids compared to our age group and to the age groups that were before us. Because yes, I do work with Heaven 100.1 FM. Been there for 20 plus years now. And the one thing I've learned is learn demographics from when I used to do a show called Crump for Christ that wasn't accepted in church yet because it was only hip hop.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
You know, and then when Kirk Franklin really wasn't accepted because Kirk was up there dancing like he was James Brown. So, you know, we go through these different layers that, you know, the acceptance of what we think traditional is compared to what new age is. And we also talked about with the new wave is with these young kids, as you know, the Maverick City worship, and you see that new wave that's happening. And it's so funny to me, and I speak about this all the time, how you have, you know, Bishop Brian Moore's son, that's a native of Charleston. Now, you know, few cities that he's been raised in, but you know, for the most part, native of Charleston. And then you have Brandon Lake, who's, you know, the Caucasian brother that's a part of Maverick City Worship, but they both are from this area.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
they're both from Charleston. Brandon Lake is actually a worship leader over at Seacoast Church, and you know, Brian Moore is a big bishop here, and that's, you know, Chandler Moore's father. So you look at these two different churches and these two different denominations, and these two different ways of life, Republican, Democrat, and independent, and you look at how these young people set out of the South and went into other markets and created when they just wanted to worship God, you know, for God being Himself, not for what denomination it may be, whether you're black or white, whether you wear jeans, whether you got a rip-off shirt, whether you wear a suit, whether you wear hats, where I walk in with my sunglasses. You know, none of that really works or really matters anymore. The only thing that matters is the simple fact that we're chasing God.
There you go.
And I think that's one of the biggest things. And, you know, I've been in so many different markets when it comes to church, you know. That's why now, you know, with my new company, Uncle Roy Lee Management Group, you know, I've set to go and work with different brands. You know, I had a conversation with a young rap crew, Long Money Phil out of this area, his crew, you know, his management earlier today, because, you know, it's about how you're able to put knowledge into the next generation, and each one teach one is so deep to the African American culture. And I think if we grab onto that more, we can really embrace. And I think that's what we didn't see from Minister Kim Burrell was the embracing. We saw the chastising, and that's something that she does all the time. But what happens is she does it in the wrong manner at the wrong times, where people that are not believers don't understand why she would be chastising and almost throwing shots, you know. But at the end of the day, she's still a woman too.
Oh yeah.
And
And
so, you know, it's the platform that she did it on that I say she shouldn't have, she didn't have any right to do it on that platform because of the way social media is today. You know you're going to be critiqued on everything. So you have to watch the platforms you're on. But these are the private conversations that people do have. You know, we've had conversations about why people live the way they live and structure and but as each one teach one, let's help pull people up, not tear them down.
no, that's a good point. And because, you know, you and I talked about it off camera. So what I saw in that video of Kim Burrell, I've seen in person before. And like I said at the beginning of the show, listen, Kim Burrell doesn't have a patent on that. I've seen hypocrisy inside and outside the church. I can stand here and name a bunch of entertainers, actors, athletes, comedians, politicians that people know very well that really, you talking about arrogant and will give you their ass to kiss. Trust me, some really famous people, y'all would be like, really? But some people may not be so surprised, because I was taught, Leroy, the more success you have, the more humble you should become, and realize that no matter how we all are gifted, we all have a gift. God has given all of us a gift. Now, some of us are able to identify it and develop it, and some folks are not. But it's not because they're less than. Circumstances and fate, a lot that can one decision, just one little decision, can change the whole trajectory and path of your life. Because I can think about some things that happened to me when I was a kid.
I can think of some things that happened to me recently that changed direction. Because, you know, like I said, with changing direction, you know, and we talk about the Kim Burrell thing, and I won't bash, but you've been there And you say, well, I actually got a chance to see. Yeah, because one of her controversies that she went through happened here in Charleston, South Carolina, about back in 2019. I was a production manager for this particular event. And at the end of the event, I had an issue with closing out the show. And I had to have a conversation with her management that didn't go as well as I thought. And I felt insulted by my conversation with her. And it made people that was with me, because me and you were producing the show together at that time. And, you understood the story, and you saw how everything just ran. And then when she came in, it structurally changed, because of how hierarchy sometimes they get, and I understand that when it comes to certain things, because you as an entertainer, me as an entertainer, there's certain things that we want. I'm a drummer, and I have a drum tech, that's set up for me. And when I sit on my drums, it's a certain way that I expect my drums to be. But then there's a certain way that he also know how to handle me, and I know how to handle him. And you know how to handle people. Like the way I handle Geno isn't the way I would handle somebody that I just met off of the street. I had at being a production and stage manager, you deal with people and deal with attitudes all the time. I had a problem with a prominent actor's son at one point, and somebody said, "Man, the way Hawk would handle it, they thought I was going to handle it like I'm from Liberty Hill, but I handled it with the professional intake that I have." And I did what I needed to do, and we still kept the integrity of the show. And I think sometimes, people will play off of you, off of where they see you at. And because I wasn't a household name to Kim Burrell, she felt like she could chastise me in the magnitude that she felt like she could. But I put my tail behind my leg and went ahead and moved on. And later on that night, she ran into controversy because she made some controversial statements about two mainstream artists, which was Fantasia and I believe
was Leandria Johnson.
Which I think Leandria was actually in the building that night too, if I wasn't mistaken.
I think you're right. She was. Yes, she performed. She performed before Kim. I remember that was the first time I saw her live, and I was like, wow. I asked you, like, who's this sister? She is bad. Yeah, you told me.
And I explained to you who she was. And she made these statements because at that point, it was where she was at. And she thought that she was cheerleading, but she was actually bringing down in a place that we didn't need it. And social media, even at that time, 2019, we were in a different format. We were really cracking up with social media. When it came to those comments, and I sat back and I went and did an interview with Larry Reed Live, who's a very controversial gospel figure, who's been an artist in gospel music, a pastor, but now he has a real open show, a format like yours. And I spoke out on how I felt. And at that point, that thing bothered me. It hurt me for a while. And she would have never known how she affected me, and even how it affected me, and how I had to deal with people from the city. But at the end of the day, when they say, unjust don't prosper, I realized that it fell right back on her that night, because the whole night, everything that she did, from arriving late until everything else she did, was wrong. So, I understand that. I'm just to that point where I've always been a believer. I've always been raised in church. I've always loved God, but I don't feel like we've got to beat on people for who they are.
No,
let's beat on people to learn God. As long as you know God and you know God for yourself, there's nothing else I can say to you.
And
I'm no better.
Right, thank you. That part. There, but for the grace. I was just gonna say, Leroy, there, but for the grace of God, I could be where you are. Anything could happen. I'm gonna kind of just wrap up my part by just some pearls of wisdom. I know my grandmother, my grandfather, my mother taught me, and even a guy I worked with, he said, be careful. The same people that you pass on your way up, you will see again on your way down.
Yes.
And you never know, that person who you look down upon, they may have been the janitor when you were on top, may wind up being the CEO and owning the company when you on your way down and out, and you may need a job from that same person that you look down upon. So be very careful. And it's not always what you say, Leroy, you know this. It's how you say it and how you do it. It's your energy and your spirit. And you can lie. Your mouth can lie about your intentions and your spirit, but let's put it this way. You can't make, your spirit ain't gonna lie. Whatever energy you put out is gonna be, that's your authentic energy. Now you can say, well, it wasn't this. The mouth can lie, but the spirit, the energy you put out, you omit in the world is not gonna lie. When your spirit and your energy is negative and judgmental and ugly, it's gonna come across that way. And people, now you may be delusional.
Every energy doesn't match, and I want to say that also. I've learned that over the years because there's some wonderful people I get along with, and then there's some people that we high and we buy because our energies just don't fit. Me and you from day one, since I met you, we were actually on opposite sides of the fence.
Yeah, professionally. Yeah, professionally. Yeah.
We were, I was at a different station at that time. Yeah. And our energy rubbed the right way. And it's always been like that. So I think it's also the energy, like with your show, the energy that you bring across is always information, with your kind of flavor that you put on it, but then yet it's still going to be Geno. It's still going to be truthful. It's going to be Geno. And I appreciate your platform. I just want to tell you that again. I know you're wrapping up, but I just want to say I appreciate the platform, because I remember when you first was thinking of the idea and you decided that you was going to do it. And I told you, man, Geno, like, this is the era for this, and you knew it already because you were already doing all the things, but to make this sacrifice and put this show on live every day for the people, dealing with the technical aspect and, all the things that you have to deal with, I just want to say, Geno, I'm proud of you. I appreciate you. We continue to support you. And, thank you, man. We appreciate you.
So listen, before I lose this live shot, full disclosure, you all, like the pilot, there are two people to help me put together like a pilot. I had like two pilots for what you're watching right now. And one was with this brother right here. I would go over to his studio and we would put the pilot together and work on it and work on it and work on it. So he's being modest, but this is one of the few people that could see my vision and believed in it and was there on the ground floor. So I'm forever indebted to you and Sean Doe, because you two brothers, you all were the ones that would let me come by your studio and put this pilot together. And it's grown to this, and it's just the show has grown in like a year and a half, incredibly. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank God for putting people in my life like you, brother. So I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate you.
And I'm glad, because it's funny you went there, because I was about to say, before this brother leaves, he being humble, but I got to give him his props. So listen, let everybody know where they can follow you on social media. They can learn more about your production company and everything else. Like if you all looking for a great musician or you need a great band, and I just lost the live shot, but it's Uncle Roy Lee. Let me come back on camera. Uncle Roy Lee Productions. I want to thank Leroy Harper. Thank you, brother. Great conversation. I knew I had about 30 seconds. I was trying to get that in there. And listen, thanks for letting me be a part of your life as always. God bless each and every one of you. God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out in Los Angeles. Please subscribe to the Geno Jones channel. Subscribe, share, like, and binge watch this and every episode. Tell everybody, as Nelly would say, tell everybody, to subscribe and binge watch and watch live the show. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Shout out to Markel Bailey, the official barber. He is the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check him out on Instagram, KLB Cutting Up, KELBECUTTINUP. The Drip Director, Allie Jones. She is a wardrobe consultant and stylist. Keep me right and tight for the Geno Jones Show. Fashion designer, fashion design major at my alma mater, Columbia College, Chicago, and supermodel. The girl is bad. Young lady's bad, all right? Check her out, Lexi LEXXIE.Nicole_designs. Lexi with 2 X's. Nicole_design. Or her new one is like, I believe is LX. L is in Lexi, X is in extra. I believe then is either dot or underscore NCL. So Alexandria Jones, just type in LX.NCL or LX_NCL. It'll come up. All right, shout out to everybody. What's up, Brewmaster Dre? Hello, mother. Oh, it was Belleville. My mother, she remembers the trip. I thought we went to Indiana. So I was, Leroy, you may still be watching. My mom is, so when you're watching me live, I have a live chat room open. So if you got a comment, question, if you want to come for me, good luck. But if you come for me, I'm going to send you back to where you came from. Please understand that. I just needed to, just for the record, put that out there. So my mother said, you're talking about the time we went to Belleville, Illinois. It was a gospel retreat. She said, I remember that very well. Wow. Okay. Well, I thought it was Indiana, but I knew it was somewhere out of town. I never forget, we went on this bus, and I told my mother what happened. I was like, what the heck? How am I going to hell? What are they doing here? What good did getting baptized do these teenagers if they're going to behave like this? Heck, I ain't even baptized. I'm not doing none of this. So it's funny that me and my mother can laugh about that still. All right, everybody, listen, have a great weekend. Friday edition of the Geno Show. Be sure to share this episode. Send it. You can email it. You can copy and paste it. You can copy the link. You can just email the whole show. Just go to my website and go to my YouTube channel and send it. Tell everybody to subscribe to the channel. Share, binge watch. You can grab 30 or 60 seconds from this show or any show and put it up on TikTok, put it up on stories on Instagram and stories on Facebook. Yeah, grab about 30, 60 seconds of the show. Put it up on TikTok. Oh, yeah, because you got a lot of content for TikTok on this show. All right, everybody, I'm out of here. I'm going to enjoy my weekend. The next live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be Monday, brand new day, brand new week, 6:30 p.m. In the meantime, go back and binge watch. Make it a Geno Jones Show binge watch weekend. Go back and binge watch all of my episodes. Great guests from way back in the day, and I had Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and Lettucey and Senator Cory Booker, some Southern Soul stars, Rory Chip Anthony, Miss Lisa, a lot of new artists. I had Latoya London. She was on about a week and a half ago. William Demps, this young brother gospel inspiration. Great conversations, a lot of great conversations. So go and check it out, all right? Before I get out of here, let me just say one last thing. As always, be blessed. Let's pray for peace. Have a great weekend, all right? So go back and binge watch. Enjoy the shows, and I'll see you live Monday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.